Welcome to Cousin Sal's winning weekend. We are gearing up for the big game in New Orleans next Sunday. Chiefs and Eagles. That's right. I have not been this excited for a rematch involving Philadelphia since Rocky II. Spoiler alert. Adrian coming out of her coma is going off at plus 450. Yes. No. I made that up. But FanDuel has so many glorious props to wager on. The Super Bowl is like the betting version of a final exam. And we're going to help you cram with some assistance from your very own study bet buddies, the D3, Harry, Brother Bry, and Darren the Parlay Kid. And speaking of picks, we're also going to hold a snake-style draft for the best running back seasons in NFL history, because that's the kind of time-wasting effort you have to provide on this extra week off. Plus, we've got former Cowboys head coach and NFL lifer Wade Phillips going to join us. He'll give us his thoughts on Crazy Jerry and the Brian Schottenheimer hire and how he'd game plan to stop Patrick Mahomes. But before any of that, it's time for a segment that tests my reactions and reflexes. It involves our producer, babyface Joel Solomon, throwing a crumpled up piece of paper with a thought written on it. I'll catch it, I'll read it, and I'll tell you my thoughts on the issue. We call this Tossing Topics. All right, fire away, babyface. What do we have? Replay reform. All right, well, it's official. Instant replay isn't good enough. We saw it in the AFC Championship game last weekend when Josh Allen may or may not have gotten stuffed on fourth down, and it stinks that this is how this game will be remembered and that the Chiefs' legacy is somewhat tarnished by this nonsense. But where do I begin? A couple things. Number one, we need a different standard to overturn these calls. Indisputable visual evidence is too tough a standard. I know they're both Buffalo related, but this comes down to Josh Allen's fingers, not OJ's bloody gloves. How about for a new standard, good visual evidence, or that looks pretty clear, or I'm fairly convinced, or oops, we might have up. Any of those make more sense than indisputable visual evidence, which sounds like a Michael Douglas thriller mystery. It's just instant replay for a football game, not a triple homicide. Should each team hire a prosecuting attorney to help sway the ref's decision? Oh, well, Mike, I wasn't convinced it was pass interference, but Alan Dershowitz just made a great case. This is why you just can't pass rush the judgment. Look, I gave Bill Simmons a suggestion last Sunday. Not an original thought by any means, but still an improvement. Here it is. This is a $500 billion league. Put a freaking chip in the ball. Like, it's one thing if the guy's knee is down, but if we're really just measuring to see where the furthest the ball got, I think we could do that.
Wow, you're a put a chip in the ball guy?
Sorry you don't approve, sportsish guy. Go ahead and lump me in with the Illuminatis because I'm not a supporter of the chain gang. Enough already. Put a chip in the ball. My fat ass wants chips in everything. Cars, dog tags, 7-layer dip. Let's put it in the football too. But I promise you, it's better than watching two 70-year-old men marching from opposite sides of the field, praying they meet at the same point. And when they don't, we have to get indisputable visual evidence to overturn their compromised spot. The great 80s pop group Wilson Phillips told us we need to break free from those chains, and I'm indisputably and evidently sure this is exactly what they were talking about. All right, toss me another one, babyface. What do we got? 2 weeks too many. All right. Waiting for next Sunday and the Big Easy is proving to be not so easy. I don't love sitting around for 2 whole weeks for the biggest game of the season. And people will say, but Sal, it gives the players a chance to rest and take care of travel and game plan. Well, what about me? Do I need 2 weeks on the John looking over the Super Bowl prop menu? No, I need 4. But really, what is the extra week for? For Fox to build hype for the game? Does it give Brady's Botox fillers time to deflate? NFL, let me put you on 2 weeks' notice. You don't need the extra week. We end up being forced to talk about dumb crap like Super Bowl logo conspiracies or uniform color conspiracy. Last year is, will Taylor make it to the game in time? This year, it's going to be, will Travis propose to her? None of it matters. I saw one this week. Is Patrick Mahomes Michael Jordan? Is he LeBron? Is he Tiger? Is he Stradlin? This game doesn't need an extra week of hype. We don't need to see a single promo. It's on Fox, and the pregame show starts at like 4 a.m. We get it. It's like the Thanksgiving Day parade. We know exactly when it is. We know when it is. Remind me of other things like my anniversary. Oh. Thanks, babyface. Oh, August 17th. Right, that's right. I knew it was sometime in the summer. All right, toss me a real one now. Super Bowl squares. Yes, it's hip to play squares. One of my favorite parts of Super Bowl Sunday, a little wagering that merely involves you writing your name in a tiny box and then mildly paying attention to the score. Everyone at the party now has some skin in the game. It's all fun until the winner is someone's great niece who, instead of watching the game, spends 4 hours peddling Girl Scout cookies to your friends. By the way, if you had me eating over 7.5 boxes of Samoas in 2025, you already won. But hey, I've got good news for you. You no longer have to bring in a forensic team to figure out which of the 3 Michael S's picked which square, because now you can buy boxes legitimately right here on FanDuel Sportsbook. And even better news, you buy the ones you want. You're not automatically stuck with 2-5. So it's no longer like Secret Santa, where the person buying for you is the recluse from accounting who hands you a succulent. That sucks. FanDuel feels your pain and allows you to go with the greatest hits. Pick 7, 3, 0. Make all kinds of combinations. Go nuts. It's all about controlling your own destiny. Or just be like Gronk and take 6 and 9 because he thinks it's funny. All right, that does it for tossing topics. Now it's time for my irrationally angry attempt to make rational sense of a somewhat irrational bet. It's Wager Rager. All right, it's here. The annual Pro Bowl game takes place this Sunday at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Camping seems fitting, too. It's basically what most of these players are doing now that tackling season is over. But fear not, FanDuel has odds on the main event. Yes, it's a flag football game. Eli and Peyton are coaching again. It features the very best of the AFC and NFC who aren't playing in the Super Bowl, plus those who already had non-refundable travel plans booked. Basically, the entire league is out except for some practice squad dudes. And for the many of you who think it's a big red flag for anyone betting a flag football game, I say, I don't have a problem. FanDuel does. They're about to pay out bigly. This year, the over-under for this Flag Fest is set at 88.5. 88 in honor of the great CeeDee Lamb and 0.5 for Kyler Murray, I guess. I don't know. Last year, the score ended 64-59. Quick math, that's 123 points, way more than the 88. And I hardly think Coach Eli Manning has spent even a second of the offseason coaching up Vita Vea on his flag pulling skills. Anyway, betting on flag football is fun. I do it every Saturday when my 11-year-old plays. And let me tell you something, if Harrison, Braxton, and Miles can light up the manual scoreboard, so can the pros who committed to participating in this charade. Pound that over 88.5, and heading into next week's big shebang, you'll have freed up some money to bet on the coin toss. America is officially great again. Speaking of greats, it's time to bring in the boys. They've been tush-pushing people long before it was all the rage in the NFL. My wizards of wagering. They're my gurus of gambling. My barons of betting. My overlords of the odds. From the Against All Odds podcast to D3. Harry, Brother Bry, Darren the Parlay Kid. What is happening, fellas?
What's going on, Sal?
What's up, Sal?
What's going on, buddy?
Well, Parlay Kid, I want to start with you, resident Cowboy fan friend. We have Wade Phillips coming up. Who is your favorite Cowboys coach of all time, head coach? I won't tell Wade if it's not him.
It's not Wade, Sal. I think this is an easy one, Sal, right? I mean, the allure of the Cowboys growing up in the 70s was Tom Landry, ultimate professional, fedora on top of that bald head, and a true class act. Was part of the reason why I fell in love with the Cowboys at that time. So I'd have to easily say Tom Landry, #1.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm partial to Dave Campo. He wore that wetsuit to SeaWorld during Hard Knocks. I know his record wasn't the greatest. I'm still waiting for Harry to do the same with a wetsuit. Can you surprise us? Listen, you guys look like you're ready for battle. Let's look at this line. Right now it stands at Chiefs -1.5. But one of the big storylines heading into this game is Eagles running back Saquon Barkley. Not sure you're aware of this, but he used to play on the Giants, and now it's being discussed that he may have had the greatest season by a running back in NFL history. He makes a strong case, but some others have other claims. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a 2-round snake draft between us of the most impressive running back seasons of all time. 8 picks total, and here's the order. Harry, you're going to go first since you won our season fantasy league. You won't get paid for that one. You're not going to get paid for this one either. You'll get first pick, followed by me, then Brian, then Darren again. Darren twice, all right? And then we'll go back in order. All right, Harry?
All right, let's do it. Ready?
Start us off. Greatest running back season of all time. Pick #1.
Well, Barkley was very close. And by the way, his rookie season, tremendous for the Giants, too, in 2018. 91 receptions with 2,000 yards. But I'm going to go 2006, Sal. LaDainian Tomlinson of the Chargers, over 1,800 yards. He had 28 rushing touchdowns. He was second in the team in receptions with 56. He had 3 more touchdowns receiving. And by the way, he threw the ball 3 times that year. 2 of them, he had 2 passing touchdowns. He had a grand total of 33 touchdowns on the year, 1,800 yards rushing. Tremendous year. I'm going LaDainian Tomlinson first.
Okay. I went a little different. Tomlinson was great. I feel like he was on the cover, right, of every fantasy magazine for like 3 or 4 years straight, right there. But I weighed heavily on the postseason. I wanted a great regular season. I wanted a great postseason. So I have a choice. It's between one guy, but I have a choice of seasons. I am going to go Emmitt Smith, 1993, because he's the only running back to win MVP and MVP of the Super Bowl, 1,900 scrimmage yards, beat the Bills 30-13 in the Super Bowl. That's the Thurman Thomas helmet game. And like I said, until that's topped, where a running back wins MVP for the season and MVP for the postseason, that's going to be the guy. Parlay Kid, I know you remember that very well,
yes,
right?
Sir.
It's not your turn yet. Just say yes or no. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Bri, you're up. Pick number 3.
Yeah, pick number 3, Sal. I'm going to go with Terrell Davis in 1998. You know, he was coming off a Super Bowl MVP season where he had 8 rushing touchdowns in the postseason, right? He was fantastic in 97, right? But then in 98, he was even better personally. He rushed for 2,000 yards, 21 touchdowns. And look, another great season that led to a second Super Bowl there for the Broncos. So I'm going to go with Terrell Davis in 98, Sal.
All right, Parlay Kid, 2 to you or 2 to Lou? You have 2 picks there.
Yeah, once again, this is always the reason why I fail in fantasy. I always have a late pick, Sal. Once again, screwed with the draft process. That's the only reason why I never win. So, Sal, I'll go 1999 Marshall Faulk here. So I talk about a winner as well. 1,380 rushing yards, averaged 5.46 yards per carry, and Sal, 87 catches for another 1,000+ yards. This is an all-time great season, was second in the MVP voting as well, offensive player in the year. Let's make the 4th pick of this draft, Marshall Faulk. And so
before you go on, very familiar with that pick. You may remember, speaking of real fantasy, I had Marshall Faulk 2 years in a row, and I renamed my team the Lucky Mother Falkers because of that.
Did.
I did very well.
Yes,
I won,
you did.
and then I think I came in second in the league. But okay, go ahead, Parlay.
Yeah, I think you met the demise of Warwick Dunn in one of those games.
Did.
I think
Is he your next pick?
No, I'm staying away from Warwick Dunn. And I have to go with 1997 Barry Sanders. 2,053 yards, 6.13 yards per carry. And get this, Sal, he was co-MVP that year as well. But Sal, after 2 games that year, he had 53 yards. In the next 14 games, 2,000 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Widely considered maybe the best running back ever. And I got him with the 5th pick in this draft here. What a steal for me.
Pretty good. All right, so you have Falk and Sanders. You like your team? You like your team so far?
I love it.
Because that's
I love it. I always
say
say that, though, in my fantasy drafts, too, and that never works out. So.
All right, we'll wait for CBS to come out with the rankings. They'll grade everybody. All right, Bri, your 2nd pick.
Well, look, Marshall Faulk that Darren gave it in 2000, right? His stats were maybe even potentially better, and that led to an MVP season. But Sal, look, I feel bad not mentioning, Jim Brown, because probably the greatest running back of all time. But I wanted to pick people that I've watched recently here, so I'm going to go with a slightly different one here and say Adrian Peterson in 2012, right? The guy ran for 2,000 yards. After just tearing his ACL in 2011 on Christmas, which is almost impossible, right? You still see guys to this day. It still takes them 2 or 3 years to fully recover from ACL. In 8 months, the guy was back to completely normal. It's actually his best season, had rushed for 6 yards per carry and 2,000 yards. So I'm going to go with Peterson there because it was a special year.
That's a great one. And I had him on my list too. Here's a little thing to know about that. 6 weeks into the season, he had failed to reach 100 yards rushing in a game. So that makes it even more remarkable that he ended up with 2097. And he lost in the playoffs, but his quarterback was Christian Ponder. All right, wow. You guys definitely stole some from me here. you know what? This is going to be a homer pick, but I'm going to go to Emmitt Smith again, the 1995 into 96 version. Almost 1,800 yards, 25 touchdowns. Playoffs, he had 99 tough yards versus Philly, 150 yards versus Green Bay. Not spectacular in the Super Bowl versus the Steelers, but they got it done. Still helped them take home the hardware. Should have won MVP that year. The boys were 12-4. The Packers were 11-5. They gave it to Favre. So give me Emmitt Smith, 95 into 96. All right, Harry, you have the last pick. Go ahead. Everyone's logged off by now, so you're just picking.
Look, I really do want to take Barkley here, but listen, I think I have to go with Eric Dickerson, 1984, 2,105 yards. Still is the record since Barkley didn't play. Played only six. Remember, that was 16 games. Averaged 132 yards a game, 14 touchdowns, and the best of his career averaged 5.6 a carry. And so I'm going to go Dickerson 84, but if you look at 83 too, just throwing out Eric Dickerson's numbers. By the way, the guy had 0 fumbles in the year of 1983, 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns. Second on the team in receptions and had over 400 yards, had 51 receptions. Eric Dickerson, 83, 84, tremendous.
All right, so we proved conclusively that Saquon Barkley isn't in the top 8 best seasons ever. Wow, unbelievable. We might have had to do another 3 more rounds.
I mentioned him twice.
Yeah, all right. He got a nice honorable mention. Yeah. All right, back to betting. FanDuel offers an absurd amount of Super Bowl special bets, from any offensive lineman to score a touchdown to a non-quarterback record a passing touchdown. My goal is to one day bet all of these. But for now, I asked you guys to find one that you like to hit next Sunday in the FanDuel special section. All right, Harry, give me one of yours here.
All right, at plus 470, Sal, Dallas Goedert to get at least 5 yards rushing and have 6 completions. He's been fantastic in the playoffs, a fantastic season. In the NFC title game, he had 7 catches for 85 yards. And on a couple of quick snaps, he did have 2 carries for 13 yards versus Washington. He looked really good kind of running the ball there. So maybe Kellen Moore might, do some sneaky plays that have him involved against Kansas City. So that's 5 rushing yards and 6 receptions at plus 470.
All right. 6 plus receptions, 5 plus rushing yards, right?
Yeah.
1 reception. Okay, that's good. I like that plus 470. All right, Brian, hit us with yours.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in the Super Bowl to see if any of these coaches break out anything crazy, right, where you can hit one of these high odds. But I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts to combine for 6 plus passing and rushing touchdowns at plus 320. You saw in the championship games, right? Mahomes had 3 total touchdowns. Hurts had 4. If you went back to Super Bowl 57 when these two teams met, right? Mahomes had 3 touchdown passes. Hurts had 4 total touchdowns. So if these offense, I feel like once they get in a groove, once they get rolling, you could see a lot of points here. And I definitely could see one QB getting 4 touchdowns, the other getting 2. So I'll take that at plus 320, Sal.
That's the winner of the last Super Bowl they played, right?
Yeah.
6 plus passing. Okay.
Yeah,
all right, good one. All right, Parlay Kid, lots of offense here. You have a same game parlay here for a special.
Correct, Sal. I'm going to be taking A.J. Brown over 4.5 catches and Xavier Worthy over 40-plus yards at plus 118. Brown has averaged about 5 catches a game and finally came alive in that NFC Championship game. And Sal, Brown is one of the top wide receivers in the league against man coverage, and nobody plays more man coverage than the Chiefs. So expect Brown to have a big game. And Xavier Worthy has quietly become the Chiefs' number 1 wide receiver and has gone over 40-plus yards and 4-plus catches in 9 straight. I really like this one at plus 118.
All right, there you go. All right, I'm going to add something for fun. FanDuel has the Gatorade color. Now, it's only in some states, but I really, really love this. Purple plus 210 is the favorite. Yellow, lime, or green plus 220. Orange 5-1. Blue 6-1. Red, pink 7-1. And water clear 10-1. I am going with purple. It has hit 4 times. It has a chance to catch orange as the leader in the clubhouse at 5 for the Super Bowl record. More importantly, it has won the last 2. So if you're Kansas City and you win, are you really going to want to break this streak, break the mojo? I don't think so. I think you stick with purple. And if you're Philly, Nick Sirianni looks pretty handsome with some purple tinge on that face, I would say. This is possibly where the demise of Big Dom begins here. Could you see him giving some inside info on the clear and stuff, and then he replaces the Gatorade yellow with vodka or something, and then some mobsters hit and take down FanDuel or Vegas for $15 million, and that's the end we see. But anyway, insider trading. There's a jail right there in the stadium, I think, for Big Dom. Purple's my pick to repeat at plus 210. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, the make-believe riverboat captain pays us a visit. We're going to relive our worst Super Bowl bet aches of all time. And the Parlay Kid finds out what his punishment is for coming in last in our picks pool. I'll grab something terrible from the cap of consequences. Oh, very exciting, at least for me. All next on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. All right, welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. Still here hanging out with the D3, Harry, Brother Bri, and Darren, the Parlay Kid. We're about halfway through the show, and during the break, the make-believe riverboat captain pulled up and he asked a great question. He said, from Michael Jackson to Janet Jackson, from Bruce to Bruno, there have been some great Super Bowl halftime shows. But his question is, who is the halftime performer that has not had the honor that we'd like to see most? And he put odds on this. This guy does it all. Is it Taylor Swift, 3-1 odds? Is it the Wu-Tang Clan, 7-1 odds? Is it the Village People at 35-1 odds? H-Dog at 125,000 to 1. Wow, that is a long shot. Or the field at even. Harry, they mentioned you or your alias, or I don't know. You don't claim to be H-Dog, but
a great friend of the pod. A great friend of the pod.
Great friend. All right, let's you kick things off. Who do you want that has not yet performed at halftime?
Well, like Chris Mad Dog Russo earlier this week went out and said that the halftime shows just stink. They stink. I mean, and I couldn't agree more. Kendrick Lamar, garbage, and probably going to be lip syncing. Rihanna's worth $1 billion, and she lip synced a couple of years ago. That gets a big duh. So I got a trio of performers that would be fantastic here, Sal. Of course, like I said, good pal of the pod, great friend. H-Dog mixed with one of my favorite singers of all time, American Idol great Daughtry, and then you throw on top of it the king of all music, John Bon Jovi. There'd be no lip syncing there, baby.
Why? First of all, why no lip syncing from Daughtry of all people? But wow, what a trio! Why do you think those three would match up so well?
Because they're all three of them are fantastic singers.
Wow. Okay,
fantastic. That's
tough to top. Now, Parlay Kid, you may have narrowed it down. I think you have a similar pick. I don't know. What are you going with here?
Yeah, Sal, I'm going to take H-Dog. Are you going to give me 125,000 to 1 odds for H-Dog?
Such a dumb segment. Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's incredible odds.
Says you.
And I'm maybe getting one of the most underappreciated rappers / poets.
You're right.
Of our time. Am I right, Harry?
No, absolutely.
An underground sensation that would finally get his chance to go mainstream. So people are missing out on some of the best rap of the 21st century. Now, here are some of his potential hits that few have heard.
Go ahead.
8 out of Compton. Number 1.
All right.
2. I got fries on it.
Okay.
Chocolate chip hop hooray. No money, knee problems.
No money is right.
The real Slim Jim Shady. I got more.
That's enough.
Drop it like it's Hot Pocket. Fight the Chowder. Have you heard this one?
Wow, Fight the Chowder.
Because he got high.
It's going nuts. The ratings are tremendous in Asia on that one.
Did you hear that one? Because I got high cholesterol.
Right. I get it. Okay.
90% menu problems. These are Sal. We're missing out on these hits. They're amazing. H-Dog, 125,000 to 1. Give me him all day over the other ones mentioned, Sal. We need to see him.
I like that a lot. I hope H-Dog gets the message somehow. And here's some of them. Wow, we could really turn those into some hits. All right, Bri, what do you got?
I'm going to take the field here. I'm going to say Pearl Jam, right? We haven't seen a rock band in years, right? I feel like he can play some of his old hits. Harry's shaking his head. I don't think Harry likes this pick here. He could start off with maybe some Alive, Even Flow to get the crowd going, right? Some stuff from his other albums. But the reason why I'd like to see this, Sal, is I would like the announcers to turn to Bill on the field, right? Bill, Mr. Simmons, with a microphone, and he gets to say what, Sal? What would he say? How would he introduce
first
this
of all, he would say, Brother Bri, I love this pick. You're getting a raise. And now, Pearl Jam. Something like that.
Exactly.
I'm going AJ and Big Justice The Costco guys, they're the halftime show. Hit up a Costco in New Orleans before the game. Get the chocolate chunk cookie and the double chocolate chunk and the chicken bake. Set them up to a lie detector test. And then they assign booms to each food item, and we see if they're actually serious about the number. And then the Rizzler comes out, and he makes that face. He puts his finger here. Oh, and that freaking place goes nuts. The place goes bananas. The bad thing about it is the teams would not be able to listen to their coaches deliver the halftime speech because everyone would be on the edge of their seat. They'd be hanging out of the locker room. I'm hopeful we all hit our bets next Sunday. But over time, there has been some crazy bad beats from painful player props to the national anthem going under. Let's give our hardest hitting Super Bowl bet aches of all time. Get it out of the way. Forget about them forever after this. Parlay Kids, start with yours. Worst bet ache Super Bowl edition.
Well, I think we can go back 10 years ago now with the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl, Sal. And in that game, the Seahawks started out as a slight favorite to start the week. The line kind of shifted, and the game kind of went off close to even by game day. And we can all pretty much remember the rest. Second and goal at the 1 with about 26 seconds left. With Marshawn Lynch running at that point like the beast that he was called at that time, beast mode, 102 yards on 24 carries up to that point in the game, and they were feeding him, and he was running the ball really well. Seattle decides to operate out of the shotgun, which maybe wasn't the worst thing, being that you had between Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson, who was much more athletic at that point of his career as well. Two different options that maybe could run the ball in and win the game for you. Seattle decides to throw a pass. And so here's the thing, too. When Seattle's throwing the ball, you know who their receivers were that year in this game? Their leading receivers were Chris Matthews, Ricardo Lockett, and Jermaine Kearse were their three leading receivers. Russell Wilson had only completed 12 passes in that game to that point.
Jeez.
And they decide to throw the ball to Ricardo Lockett, and it gets picked by Butler. And anybody that had Seattle on the money line, or to cover, because they would have covered the spread with the touchdown there as well, were losers. That was pretty much as bad as it gets. I'm not sure how Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson ever recovered from that single play, because that was just devastating.
Here's why it was extra bad, because Belichick, I was like, oh, he's going to get a dose of his own medicine. Because remember, he was letting the clock roll down. I'm like, oh, he's not leaving any time for Brady after Seattle punches us in from the 1 freaking yard line.
Right, that's exactly what you're
down
thinking.
To 25, 26, 21, whatever it was. That was bad. Plus, I don't even think I lost money on the game, but my bet ache for that game, not my overall bet ache, was watching with some of the worst Patriots fans in history.
That's rough.
Aforementioned Pearl Jam fan that Brother Bry brought up there, being one of them. All right, so that's yours. That's a bad one for sure. Bry, give us yours.
Well, Darren says Pete Carroll's never going to get over that. I'm sure Pete Carroll, after this next Raiders season, I'm sure he's going to be like, wow, that was a great year. That was so good.
I'll take 100 of those. Yeah.
But, I will say Darren's right in terms of the most money I ever lost on a game was that game. And I must have been chasing, I'll be honest, I had like $6,000 on that game. I must have been chasing losses from that season or playoffs. And Sal, I felt so sick after that loss. Like I was physically sick from that loss that I'm pretty sure my immune system shut down. I had strep throat the next day. It was just amazing. I swear. I was like, my immune system.
Why everyone should have off the day after the Super Bowl.
100%.
100%. Car repo too, Brian, or not that day?
No, that was years before. Years before the car repo. But my betting style, I think the Seahawks Bronco game. I remember this is another one. I had like a few hundred on a 6-player parlay that was paying close to $11,000. Now I remember everything hit by early third quarter. I know I had a bunch of like Seahawks props and I had some like weird stuff in there. I probably even had like, I don't know, some opening kickoff stuff, touchback. I don't even remember, but it was early third quarter and I needed just Manning to have over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Now they were down 36-0 late third, but he gets a touchdown pass to end the third quarter. So then I remember like feeling like, oh, this is pretty good. I'm going to get a garbage touchdown down 36 six or whatever it was at that time. The next possession, they drive the field, but then they don't get it on downs. Then there's a fumble in the next possession. Then the last drive, remember, there's 2 minutes left. Right at the 2-minute warning, Manning completes a 15-yard pass. So I was like, this is great. They're actually going to try to score. Then they run it the next 2-3 times and just run out the clock. And I was so pissed. It was like I just couldn't believe how bad the Broncos offense was that game. I mean, Seahawks was great. Yeah. One of the worst. Was that the worst we've had?
Yeah, I think it might have been because it was over so early, right? We knew right away. Was it a safety to start the game? Was that the one to save?
Yes.
Safety. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they just poured it on, and it was cold, and I was like, oh, man, this is the last game of the year. All right, Harry, give us yours. What's your betting?
2 years ago, the same matchup, Kansas City and Philly. All 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, every parlay I made, I included Philadelphia money line on there, and I was loading up on Philly to take down the Big Tomato. And I'm still mystified how in a game that finished 38-35 had 750 yards of offense, the Chiefs had 14 yards in penalties only, and the back ref calls holding on Philadelphia. And I swear to you that where Kansas City can milk the clock, kick the field goal, that totally sucked. And I'll go to my grave knowing if the roles were reversed, they would not have called holding on Kansas City. You know it. I know it. We all know it.
You're gonna go to your grave? I only heard the go to your grave part. I got excited.
No.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. All right, listen. What am I supposed to say about Harry and the referees and the Chiefs and everything? I'm going to say this was a little prop you couldn't bet really everywhere. Pete Townsend to smash his guitar during the halftime show. This is a 2010 Super Bowl. The Who is performing. Then there's a prop. Will Pete Townsend smash his guitar? And I'm like, he is definitely smashing his guitar. It's such a big rock and roll moment, right? He smashed his guitar in every bar in front of all these hooligans, small bar, big bar, during every concert. I don't know what his problem was with guitars, but I was about to capitalize on it, make money. So I bet as much as I could. I got as much as I could down on this. You could see the Who in concert every night for a full year and not spend as much as I did on this prop. Definitely more than the Saints or Colts in that game. But the Who did a 5-song medley. They ended with We Won't Get Fooled Again and I Will Never Get Fooled Again by Pete Townsend smashing a guitar, because not only didn't he smash his guitar, he placed it down so delicately, so softly, like the crowd was asleep and he didn't want to wake them up while he was moving equipment. And so I lost that bet. It was sickening. I don't even know if I watched the second half. Someone tell me what happened the rest of the game. Anyway. Disgusting. All right. That's it for our bet. We've got one more thing to do. We've got some unfinished business here with our pal, the Parlay Kid. He finished last in our season-long picks pool, and so it's our tradition that you must now pick from the cap of consequences. Only I think the NBA should adapt this rule to avoid tanking. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to go in the cap. I have 4 things here. One of them, welcome back, Soto. So you're a teacher, Parlay Kid. You must wear a New York Mets jersey in school for the entire day and teach all your classes in it while telling your students to please call you Mr. Soto. All right? What do you think of that? I got to get your reaction.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I don't like it, but that's a good one.
Okay. All right. Maybe you'll like this one. Chef Harry, all right? You must slurp down a Chef Harry special concoction of Sonic Nerd slushy blended with 7-Eleven chicken wings and 6 shots of Chloroseptic. All right? There you go. All right, so you really like that one. All right. Fly, Eagles, fly. You have to sing Fly, Eagles, fly outside church as patrons arrive for Sunday Mass.
Oh, wow.
You don't like that, huh? You don't like that?
Video
Will you
of
eat
that
the
is
shake? All right, here we go. And puberty class dismissed. You must give out advice you normally do in health puberty class to customers at White Castle, whether they want to hear it or not. All right? Which one don't you like, Parlay Kid? The one with the church?
Oh, yeah, that one. That one's
okay. I'll try to pick that one. All right, so they all go in here. There we go. Roll it up. Welcome back. Oh, this is exciting.
Those papers aren't moving anywhere.
I'm moving them around.
Right.
Oh, whatever. Chef Harry.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it. You're going to be so sick, man.
It's going to be
7-Eleven chicken wings.
No,
Sonic
that's so
slushy,
gross. Oh,
and
my God.
Chloroseptic.
Well, this is really bad for Darren because this is the type of stuff that Darren does not like to do. Any of these things like this.
The only thing bad is the chloroseptic.
Yeah.
And you have to drink it in front of a priest at church. So
Oh, God.
Did I mix those up? I don't know what that is. All right, Wally Kid, that's it.
All right.
That'll be your
All
consequence.
right, that's going to be interesting. Oh, boy.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, fellas. Great job. Looking forward to the Super Bowl next week. But now I'm looking forward to see Darren puke up chloroseptic shake. We'll be right back with former Cowboys coach Wade Phillips on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. All right, let's bring in our guest. This gentleman has coached professional football for the better part of 5 decades. One of those teams was the Dallas Cowboys, and thankfully, he lived to tell about it. And he's still at it. The current head coach of the San Antonio Brahmas, Wade Phillips. Thanks for being here.
Hey, good to be here. Yeah.
Wade, I have so much to get to with you. Let's talk Cowboys first. As a lifelong fan of America's team, I feel like I owe you a debt of gratitude for being one of the most competent Dallas Cowboys coaches of all time. Thank you for that. I feel like there should be an award ceremony, Ring of Honor, maybe.
I don't know about that, but no, I mean, they won some Super Bowls there. Of course, Switzer and Jimmy Johnson. So I have a pretty good record there. I think I don't know what it is, but the winning percentage is a little better than Tom Landry's. So that's pretty good.
Right. And you did it without the hat. Your father wore the hat. Landry wore a different kind of hat. It was all about hats back then. What was your reaction last week to the media circus surrounding Brian Schottenheimer's hiring by Dallas? Did you shrug? Did you laugh? Were there any tears? What came to mind first?
Oh, I laughed. I mean, Jerry, it's such a Dallas is such a big market. There's so many Dallas fans everywhere. I mean, everywhere I go, they'd say, "Oh, you're a Dallas coach." Well, yeah, I was, but I coached at 9 other places.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just a big deal in Dallas. I mean, when Dallas does something, and Jerry likes that. He likes the all the media and all that stuff, talking about the Cowboys. So even if it's not negative, but even if it's, controversial, he still likes that. Everybody's talking about the Cowboys.
Especially if it's controversial. And listen, he can't fire you now. So what do you think about this? Like they didn't really hire. They hired from within. And I know, listen, your father was Bum Phillips, legendary coach of the Oilers. So now we have the Brian, the son of Marty Schottenheimer. Do you think legacy is something Jerry cares about?
I don't think. I think he's just looking at the coach and what he can do and how he can help the team. And he knows about him. He was there. He was the offensive coordinator. So, sometimes you see a guy there that you say, hey, he's meant to be a head coach. And then when the opportunity came, Jerry gave it to him.
Yeah. Now we've seen a number of coordinators in addition to Brian Schottenheimer, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Liam Cohen get head coaching gigs this year. What's the biggest challenge you see that fans might not realize transitioning from coordinator to head coach?
It's just a lot more responsibility. It's, obviously the wins and losses when you're a coordinator, that's not a big deal. But when you're the head coach, all those losses, anytime you lose, it's the head coach's fault. So, it's just a bigger challenge, and you got to oversee more people. If you're a coordinator, you got half the group, but are really a third. I mean, the special teams is another part of the team. So when you get to be a head coach, it's all 3 phases, and the players overall looking to you. So it's a bigger responsibility, huge responsibility.
Yeah, no kidding. Who was your favorite Cowboy that you coached?
Oh, wow. Well, DeMarcus Ware, because I got to coach him with Denver also.
Right.
But all those guys, I mean, Romo, I'm still in touch with Romo, and we don't run across each other all the time, many of these guys, but I enjoy coaching them all. And, like I said, I had a pretty good record there. So we won a lot of games.
When was the last time Terrell Owens sent you a Christmas card?
T.O., I haven't run across him in a while, but yeah, I mean, he and I are we're we were not best friends, but I enjoy coaching him. He's a great player. He's Hall of Fame. One of the hardest working players I've ever been around. He's as soon as he got on the field, he's doing sit-ups and catching the ball, and I mean, he worked at what he did. People don't realize probably people don't realize that, but he caught 50 balls before we started practice. I mean, he worked at his trade.
Yeah, sit-ups almost never make the box score. I really think that's a mistake. The league should look into that. All right, well, listen, now you're coaching the San Antonio Brahmas. You took them to a championship. We're going to talk about that and more when we come back on Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. All right, welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend here with a man who's been to a few Super Bowls, won one with the Denver Broncos as a defensive coordinator back in 2016, Coach Wade Phillips. Coach, that Super Bowl, Denver beat Carolina. Von Miller was MVP, right?
Yeah, we had 7 sacks in that game and several turnovers. And Carolina was a really good team. Of course, Cam was the MVP of the league going into the game, and they were averaging 40 points a game in the playoffs. And we beat Roethlisberger, Brady, and Cam Newton in the playoffs. I think we held them to 12% on third down, all 3 of those guys. I mean, it was a fantastic defense. We led the league in 11 categories. I mean, so they were so good that I was just along for the ride.
Who was the hardest player you had a game plan for? Someone who just gave you nightmares?
Oh, I think Brady was the best. I mean,
yeah.
We beat him a couple of times, but he beat me a lot of times throughout my career, and it was just amazing how good he was. He was so accurate. I was on the team with Earl Campbell, who was as dominant player as I've ever been around too as a running back.
I want to talk about that because there's some recency bias with Saquon Barkley, and some are mentioning him now amongst the greats, the top 3 or 4 greatest running backs of all time, or at least having the greatest year that a running back has put together. But your dad coached Earl Campbell, and you were there too for that. What do you think we should start talking more about Earl, right? Talking him up?
Yeah, I mean, you can go on YouTube. People that don't know, I mean, you go on YouTube and look at those runs he made. I mean, nobody makes those kind of runs, and there's a lot of great players, obviously, but we beat Miami on a Monday night game, and I think it was his 29th carry, he ran 81 yards for a touchdown to seal the game. I mean, nobody does 29th carry. I mean, that's not.
Right.
And he outran everybody and had a seal the game for us. And he was Rookie of the Year, and I think he was MVP of the league too, his rookie year. So I mean, the guy was fantastic.
And I think it helps to have a highlight or a few highlights where your shirt is completely ripped off. I think that puts you in special legendary category. All right, break it down for us. Eagles, Chiefs. What do the Eagles have to do? Their Chiefs are a slight favorite, probably because they won 2 in a row. What does Philadelphia have to do to stop Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I think he's a little more vulnerable than he has been. I mean, he has been sacked more this year than he's been sacked in his career in the season. So I think the pass rush on him is vital. And they're strong up front. Eagles are really strong up front as far as I don't think the Chiefs have the running game they've had, so they shut down that running game and get that pass rush going, and get pressure on him. They'll have a chance to keep him down. He's fantastic.
Give us a quick pick of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, sorry to tell you, but I think the Eagles are going to win by 7. So
really,
they're too strong offensive and defensive lines. So
all right. So how many thousands of dollars should I put on it?
Hey, I've been in the league a long time, and I never knew I always thought I was going to win, but I never who was going to win. So I'd never bet on a game in the NFL.
It sounds like you're saying 50. I'm going to read between the lines there. All right. I want to get your pick for one more game, and this is a pretend one, although maybe we can make it happen. Your current team, the San Antonio Brahmas, against the Dallas Cowboys. Neutral field, who wins?
Well, I think Dallas certainly, our guys are trying to get to Dallas. And, our league, they're trying to get to that level. Now, some of them, we had 130 guys that signed with the NFL this last year. We've got some talent coming out of it. That's what it's meant for, is that give those guys that kind of opportunity. And Dallas has a couple of guys, the kick returner and the kicker, both came from our league.
Oh, yeah, right. All right. I think the game will be closer than you're maybe letting on. Who knows? All right. I have got one more task for you, Wade, before we release you to the wild. This is called Cousin's Conundrum.
Cousin's Conundrum.
Jerry Jones calls you and tells you to come back to Dallas. You have the head coaching gig. But this is a conundrum. There's a stipulation that comes with the job that after every game, win or lose, you have to drive Jerry home in a golf cart shaped as a Cowboys helmet. Do you take the job?
Well, I've already done that, so
the golf cart part, really?
Cart too. So no. I mean, I had my run there, so I wouldn't take that one.
No good. All right. What if we threw a cheerleader in there between you two? A Cowboys cheerleader? No.
No, I have my own cheerleader.
Been a real pleasure. UFL season kicks off March 28th, the San Antonio Brahmas. How's the team looking this year? You going to go to the finals again?
Well, we're going to try to win it. Birmingham's kind of, they only lost one game the last 3 years. So, and we beat them in San Antonio last year. So they're going to be a challenge, and the rest of the teams are good too. So but I look forward to the challenge. We'd like to win it all this year. We got to the finals, but we'd like to win it all.
All right. Go to the UFL.com/tickets. Come out and see great football again after the NFL season. We're going to be right back. Cousin Sal's winning weekend after the break. All right, we did it. Just 9 more sleeps until the Super Bowl. Not like I'm going to get any sleep anyway. My thanks to Wade Phillips. Just add him to the list of people I wasn't able to convince to take that coveted Cowboys coaching job. And thanks to the D3, as always, those guys never need a week off to prepare. Next week, I'll be in New Orleans on Radio Row. We've got a great show lined up for you with big name guests and lots of betting insight on the Super Bowl. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And please always remember, you may feel like an underdog, but just know you're all my favorites. Happy handicapping.